It's not cute girls. It's not robots. Nor is it giant explosions. Yet, it's still great and amazing.
Would you say it's awesome?
I would say this is the OSMcast. Season's greetings, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, and Merry Christmas.
May Ragnar not eat your children this year.
That's right. Welcome to the OSMcast for an actually holiday-esque edition.
Yes. Reviewing a somewhat Christmas movie-ish.
Very Christmas movie.
I would say, as far as anime goes, it's about as Christmas can get without being an anime recreation of Die Hard. Yes, that's right. When we talk about Tokyo Godfathers, which you know because you clicked the link that said we're listening on talking about Tokyo Godfathers in the title. Yet we always try to keep it a secret the whole way through until we reveal it.
Well, the only other Christmas-themed anime I can think of offhand is Gundam 0080, which,
I've seen a couple of other anime Christmas specials, and they always seem to highlight how much Japan doesn't really get it when it comes to Christmas, but Tokyo Godfathers is not.
I don't know when Roger Smith fought a gigantic tree in Big O.
Yeah.
I felt that was the spirit of Christmas.
That was a very special Christmas episode of Big O.
It's a yuletide!
So anyways, hello, welcome back. This is the OSMcast. I'm Basil.
I'm Douglas.
I'm Kevin.
And that's us. This is one of those things where it's sort of been on my bucket list for forever now, where I really wanted to talk about Tokyo Godfathers, and we're doing it.
Hooray!
We're knee-deep in December. I have yet to even make a Christmas CD to put in my car, and it's like next week for us.
Yeah.
It'll
be a little bit past by the time this airs, won't it?
No, it'll be right before.
Oh, awesome.
It'll be right before, I believe, because this is going up on Monday.
Yeah, so there's still a couple days before Christmas.
Yeah, so good luck shopping. Be nice to your retail associates you're buying things from.
Yeah.
Please.
Be very nice to the retail associates, even in your moment of Christmas shopping desperation.
They are trying their best.
Oh, Basil, tell them about the dream that you had.
Okay, so I was dreaming the other night, whatever, and I'm on my porch and I'm playing 3DS. I think it was Phoenix Wright. I haven't forgotten about the extra DLC case, Alan. I really haven't. I'm playing it off and on along with Pokemon still. But these kids come up while I'm playing my 3DS in my dream on my front porch, and they go, "Do you have any PS4s or Xbox Ones?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. This is a dream. You're not supposed to be here. You guys suck. I'm thinking right now."
That's desperate for the new systems people are. They're hounding people. They're hounding Basil even in his dreams.
It's sadly true. God damn it all. God damn it to hell. Speaking of God damning things all to hell, it's now time for our Dragon Quest Minute. Here's the Dragon Quest Minute. Frickin' Nintendo. Oh my god. Today, Satoru Iwata started off the latest Nintendo Direct announcing Dynasty Warriors Zelda.
What?
Yes, they're going to make a Dynasty Warriors in Hyrule with Link fighting things. Whatever. You know what wasn't announced? A localization for Dragon Quest VII or Dragon Quest X. What treachery is this, Nintendo?
No, I need those Dragon Quests.
What treachery is this, Nintendo?
I need those Dragon Quests.
Curse you and your Kung Fu treachery, Dr. Nintendo.
The new Kirby looks good. I'll give you that. I'll play it on 3DS. I'm glad we're getting Bravely Default Flying Fairy, because that is the best name in video games. I just can't deny something that actually is coming out in America called Bravely Default, and the full name of it in Japan was Bravely Default Flying Fairy.
There's a video game that has a better title, though.
Which is?
Tales of Vesperia.
I was going to go with Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll.
No, Tales of Vesperia. Best title.
Well, I think we've covered that in a previous OSMcast, so we're not going to go on to previously treading ground here.
Okay, fine.
If you really want to know all about Tales of Vesperia, look in our Index of Awesome, and you'll find it, as well as many other episodes. But yes, I'm still annoyed that we're not getting Dragon Quest VII or a version of Dragon Quest X. And so this has been your Dragon Quest Minute. Speaking of the Index of Awesome, you can find that at OSMcast.com, where you can also subscribe via iTunes or your favorite RSS podcast catcher. If you do listen to us on iTunes, please rate us highly. We would appreciate it. Because I don't use iTunes, so I have no clue how high or low we ever are. But the higher you rate us, the better chance we get out there in front of more people, eardrums.
Yes.
So please do that. You can always leave comments in the comment section. You can always send us emails at awesomecast@gmail.com, unless you have complaints. In which case, you can send us emails at podcast@shainsofbuffet.com.
Or if you want to follow us on Twitter, follow Twitterless Kevin.
Well, you can actually follow us at OSMcast. You can follow me at It's Basil Time, and at some point you'll be able to follow Kevin at Twitterless Kevin. I really need to make that account, which I'll do before I actually release this episode.
You can follow someone claiming to know what I'm doing at Twitterless Kevin.
Well, hey, I'm going to give you the password.
Yeah. It's going to be your account. You're going to have it.
I may still post to it, but you're going to have it. And I might just start doing really embarrassing posts until you start using it yourself.
We can make posts talking about him wearing his underpants on his head, things like that.
Going on.
I thought you were going to
His love of elevators.
I thought you were going to make ridiculous posts about things I don't actually do. Wait.
How he goes and goes on panty raids, and everyone gets really mad at him, but, he just really needed to collect them, and how he made Ramba do this crazy, stupid thing just so he... anyways.
Man, why are you so mean to Pantyhose Taro?
Yeah, he's a little prick.
That's true. But speaking of little pricks, how about some moments? Moments of awesome.
It's a moment of awesome.
Alright, well, I'm ready to go. Are you?
Maybe.
Are you?
Most likely.
Excellent. Who wants to go first?
I think Kevin should go first.
Kevin,
No.
It was recently your birthday, so birthday boy,
Yeah?
take your first moment of awesome.
Crap. Well, actually, I can think of a couple of things, but probably the most recently is just went to the new Hobbit film, Desolation of Smaug, which sounds pretentious, like you're really trying to...
Yeah, why do they pronounce it that way? Why do they not just say smog?
Because Smog is S-M-O-G, and it's different. I don't know, I think some people do say it closer to Smog, but anytime you're hearing anyone talk about it who's actually involved in production, it's Smaug.
Well, I know when I saw the movie, I didn't notice anything particularly unusual about the pronunciation, but whenever I see anybody talking in, on the commercials for it, or they're on a talk show talking about it, they go Smaug, and it's just like, oh gosh.
Well, the movie is kind of Smaug. Like, it gets through it. It doesn't drag it out.
Yeah,
but...
so it's so, the commercials always go via, what is it,
The Desolation
of
Smaug.
The Desolation of Smaug.
But, I thought it was a pretty good film. Definitely, although definitely if you're a book purist or one of those people who are like, why did they make it into 3 movies, you're probably still going to be annoyed with this one.
Mm-hmm.
If you thought that one shield surfing elf or one awesome Oliphant takedown was a little over the top, you're probably going to hate this one.
Well, we were talking about this earlier, how technically Legolas was in the book, The Hobbit. They never mentioned him by name or anything, but he was probably somewhere around.
Retroactively, he had to exist.
He's an immortal elf. Well, of course he was sitting
there. They were where he lives.
Yeah.
They so yeah, he needs to be in there.
So he was probably wandering around somewhere.
There's no reason not to have an Orlando Bloom cameo, although he does have he does have what he does have, though, is an extensive side plot.
Yes.
Well,
for no apparent reason.
actually, there's an elf girl with an extensive side plot that Legolas is a part of.
Yes. Also, for no apparent reason.
Yes. So if you really thought Hobbit lacked multiple elves arrowing things to death action, boy, this is your movie.
Yeah, it occurred to me as I was watching it that I don't think Legolas really has arrows. I think he has daggers that just happen to be in arrow format that he fires at people.
Well, he's got a couple of daggers strapped to his back and a crap ton of arrows, which he still occasionally just stabs people with.
And he slices something with them too, like...
Yeah, and you gotta, this has a lot more action than the first installment, though. This is a lot more action, a lot more often. You got spiders and dragons and orcs and elves.
And if you thought the Twin Towers ends with an oh shit moment, this movie is literally like one curse word off from being an oh shit ending.
Yeah, there's let's just say that, it's this time when, what is that actor? Martin Freeman and Benedict Cumberbatch meet, he doesn't end up writing for his blog.
Yeah.
This ends a little differently.
I have no idea. I still need to see the first one. As when I went to go see the first one with Anna, it was not in theaters, so we watched Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters instead.
That's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing, but I feel I was equally entertained.
I enjoyed that film as well. This is definitely, it's just about 10 minutes shy of 3 hours long. So, and this isn't an extended cut. This is the real movie, or the theatrical cut. So, it's an epic. You're in there for a long haul. They are doing a lot to set up backstory to leading into Lord of the Rings, which is where most of the quote-unquote original material is coming from. It mostly feels logical, although I have to say, I think elves are in it just to have elves shooting things with arrows, and I can't entirely hate that. In fact, I like that a lot. And the parkour using orc assassins are sort of awesome as well, even though they're way more competent than orcs have ever been in the series.
Yes. Yes.
All right, do you have any more, or you want to settle on that?
I'm good. I could gush about the PS4, but, I think have we mentioned that?
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways,
it's a good system.
Got a PS4 through freak luck and chance, and it's pretty damn awesome. And it is the nicest controller ever made. Just, to back up Basil.
The DualShock 4 is really nice. I really have to. If you choose a controller for this next generation, the DualShock 4 should be it. If there was some way you could plug in a DualShock 4 into an Xbox One, I'd say go for it.
Actually, with the Xbox One streaming capabilities, you can plug in basically any HDMI device into the Xbox One, and it will play it to your PlayStation. It'll play it to your TV. This means that you can plug in a PlayStation 4 into the Xbox One and have it play to your TV.
Sadly, there's a good bit of lag that's introduced in that. Like, they've already tried. People have already tried.
The concept is so amazing.
Well, that was one of the things people were trying to say. Well, you don't need backwards compatibility with the Xbox One. You can plug in your 360 in your Xbox One, and it can be like the same system. Only, no, it really can't.
No, that's two systems.
Yeah, I am not that fond of the Xbox One. I mean, for me to buy an Xbox One, they would have to announce something truly amazing. Like the first American release Super Robot Wars with actual licensed Japanese mecha characters in the US, then I might buy it. Like, it would have to be something amazing.
That would require Microsoft really caring about Japan.
And they don't. And Japan doesn't care about Microsoft, so it's a two-way street. In fact, the one Super Robot Wars game they put out on the Xbox 360 was a slightly updated version of the one they made for GameCube. And pretty much no one bought it. So, actually, Tales of Vesperia did the most for selling 360s in Japan.
Yes.
Until they found out that there was a better version for PS3. And then they were mad and hated Xbox forever. Maybe that was the plan.
Actually, Lost Odyssey also did about as well, if possibly even better, by like 10,000 units.
Oh, the Lost Odyssey was so sad. So sad.
Well, some people like sad things.
Why would you subject yourself to that much sadness?
Because it has a pretty big payoff at the end.
Maybe.
Like, when you actually beat it, it's actually pretty darn happy.
I don't know. I got the point of orphans just lost their mother and are crying about it. I got to that point and it kept going. It kept hitting me over the head with that.
It gets better.
It does get better.
It does get happier.
Oh,
They find love again.
Crying orphans over their mother. It was so, like...
This isn't... Oh, what is that game? The one with Chopin as the protagonist. It's not that depressing.
Oh, Eternal Sonata?
Yeah, it's not Eternal Sonata depressing.
And ends way better.
Yeah, Eternal Sonata was actually really good. Right up until the ending. When the ending was so bad that it retroactively went back and made the rest of it not so great.
Alright, so... Who shall go next?
That's awesome.
Well, let me start with something that we all know is awesome. Hanukkah is awesome.
Hanukkah is awesome.
Hanukkah was pretty awesome this year.
Festival of Lights.
You know, me and Barry flew up to visit his family in Philadelphia, and that was pretty awesome. Oh, I saw this other awesome thing in the Philadelphia airport. Somebody had knit a whole bunch of, like, knit and crochet cakes.
Cool or adorable?
Both.
Okay.
So, it's now my goal to create one of these, like, you know, multi-tiered wedding style or party cakes, only out of yarn and crochet.
You can't eat a cake made of yarn. That's madness.
It's brilliant. But they had a whole display of it, and I was so excited by that. So that's the best I got for my moment of awesome.
That's kind of awesome.
Well, that's okay. I don't have... Because mine stands alone. As mine is the latest, greatest inclusion in my ongoing series, Season of Sports!
Play ball!
Well, okay, since you said play ball, I now have to go with my dark horse entrant of this. It's not really Dark Horse. It was never licensed by them at all. If anyone would have licensed it, it would have been Viz. But what it is that while I've been watching lots of sports anime, I've also got this whole tablet, this whole Nexus 7. And I also downloaded an MX player for it because it's a really good player to play all sorts of files. And I really got it to watch a Kamen Rider game in bed before going to sleep, but instead I loaded up with the anime adaptation of Adachi Mitsuru's Touch, which is one of the best baseball series you're ever going to ever read or watch, and oh man, is it good. It is 100 and plus, like 100 and 102 episodes of not baseball at first. It's actually like this love triangle between... Okay, you got these two brothers, Katchan and Tachan, and this other girl named Minami. And Katchan and Tachan are twin brothers. Tachan is the older, Katchan is the... Or Tatsuya or Katsuya. Tatsuya is the older brother by, like a minute. And then you have his younger brother, Katsuya. They're born on the same day as Minami. The two families are neighbors. And so they grow up as this little trio. And in fact, they get along so well that the parents decide to, in between the two houses, build a little study room. It's an actual building with, like, everything. So they could study there. And as they've grown up, the boys are eventually realizing what girls are. And that Minami is one of them. And so you start off with them in middle school. Eventually they get into high school. And there's this whole thing where Tatsuya is initially more physically gifted than Katsuya, but he's learned that whenever he does really well, Katsuya kind of stumbles and falls, and in the end, instead of Tatsuya getting the attention from Minami, Kazuya gets the attention from Minami. And so Katsuya has learned to try really hard and do well at things, whereas Tatsuya has learned to be lazy. Because, obviously, being good at something is not going to get him ahead of anything. And so they've sort of grown up this way, where Katsuya is now the star baseball player, and Tatsuya is, this sort of layabout. But they both still really like Minami, and Minami believes very much in both of them, and they both can do great things. And it's sort of the two of them dealing with their own issues, along with her, and how they're sort of growing up. And baseball really is, yet again, it's sort of a backdrop. It's sort of a set piece. It's sort of a point that they can use for a dramatic tension and, to move the story along. It's not really about baseball. Baseball just happens to be an important part of it. Which is, something to be contrasted with Ace of Diamond, which is a baseball show airing right now that's very much about baseball. It's about how you're playing baseball. It's about the rules of baseball. How pitching is really important. You get a little of that out of touch, but not a lot. It's really, when they play baseball, they just happen to be playing baseball. Or wrestling. Or rhythm gymnastics. When was the last time you've heard of rhythm gymnastics about anything?
I don't think I've ever heard of rhythm gymnastics.
Last time the Summer Olympics was on TV?
That's right. Because I think Japan really likes
rhythmic gymnastics. A lot of people don't, because its scoring is highly objective, because it's more artistic than regular gymnastics. It's more like figure skating without skates. I mean, there's you go through routines,
but there's a whole bunch of technical points and tricks that you can do that earn a specific number of points in figure skating.
And the same is kind of true of rhythmic gymnastics.
Because the whole idea is that you either have a ball or a hoop or a ribbon.
Hoop.
And you have to make use of these items.
Is that what Kodachi does?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So Ranma, that's the last time I heard of it.
Japan likes it way more than at least America does.
Yeah.
And even then, I think that was more of an 80s, 90s thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't see it a lot now. And I think that was back when Japan really loved themselves some Olympics. This is the same general time period that Akira existed. Mm-hmm. And I think this is around the same time that Japan also hosted the Olympics. I think they won some key events in Olympics. So they were, there was some sort of volleyball anime that was, inspired by the fact that the women's volleyball team won Olympics. And we're actually getting a new volleyball anime next season. Or at some point this next year. We're getting volleyball anime. I'm so excited. Volleyball. Dudes playing volleyball. Getting hype. It's going to be awesome. You shut up.
Yeah, it could be good. I don't know. I'm not as into the sports anime as we well know.
Yeah, I have no idea when sports anime shot up when it became one of my favorite genres, period. But it had... Actually, I do know it was Cross Game, which was another Mitsuru Adachi work that is just touch with half the calories.
Well, I need my sports anime with robots and cute girls and explosions.
Yeah, well, you ain't getting that. Not what we're about to talk about anyways.
Oh, I remembered another moment of awesome.
My segue! My beautiful segue that Kevin set up for me perfectly. Now that I've lamented it, go on.
Okay. I don't know if we're going to do a full-on podcast about this, but I recently saw the third Madoka movie, and it was pretty awesome.
As soon as I see it.
If you liked all the other Madoka stuff, you'll like this movie. If you didn't like the other Madoka stuff, you probably won't like this movie. But if you did, you probably will. In my opinion, it was a little bit like they wanted to make two different movies. One movie was actually advancing the plot, and the other movie was just a gratuitous "I love you" to the fans. And
or a gratuitous F you to the fans.
One or the other. So rather than make two different movies, they just made one movie and took the two movies and interspersed them together. So you have all this serious stuff that advances the plot in between scenes, overly long scenes of the girls actually transforming into magical girls. But while I say this was overly and excessive long, it almost seemed to me that was the point, that it was overly and excessively long.
I do feel that was very much a scene of, yo, Sailor Moon, I can do this too. And I can do this way more fabulously. Suck it.
Yeah, it was a little bit, we are the most fabulous magical girl show that ever fabulousness.
Which has thematic undertones that are important to the story.
Yeah.
It is very much thematically with Madoka previously.
There is one scene, and I'm not going to specify which scene, but there is one scene where it's overly complicated and overly bizarre, especially with the visuals right off at the very beginning. And me and Basil were sitting around and we were listening to a bunch of other people talk about how they couldn't understand the depths of it. But what me and Basil were saying is that the depth of it was that it was overly complicated and it was overly dramatic. It was, I wouldn't say symbolic because it wasn't really symbolic at that point in time. It was more just, it was overly complicated for the sake of being overly complicated, and that was in fact actually its point.
Yeah, well, Madoka as a series, just in general, is a series that while it shows so many trippy visuals, it's actually a show that's all about telling rather than showing.
Yeah.
For as much as it shows, when it wants you to know the actual plot,
it tells you.
It tells you.
It has one of the characters tell it to the other character.
So, and that's very much true of the movie.
Yeah.
And so in that respect, well, I know you say it's 2 movies.
Yeah.
I sort of still see it as 1 movie.
Well,
It's just following the same ideas that the TV show did.
Yeah.
Only it's more lavish, and I do feel that the movie does suffer a little bit, and that I really feel at this point they took all the reins off from the animators and the creators to let them really do whatever they wanted.
But they're still really good at doing what they want. So
Right. So it works out, but it doesn't feel quite as tightly done as the TV show itself.
Yeah. Well, again, I think that part of that is because it's doing just a little bit of I love you to the fans. And that's actually one of the things that as we were leaving the theater, we heard other girls complain about, was that they felt it got to the point of being a little bit fan servicey. Whereas Madoka, the rest of the series is very good about not being fan servicey.
Well, yeah, I actually have my own issues with the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed it, but I didn't enjoy it quite as much as you did. Mostly because
I loved it.
Because I feel that there are certain parts of the movie that do sort of betray what the TV show was doing. But to really explain my thoughts on that, I had to go into spoilers.
And we're going to save that for another podcast.
Right. So, one more thing.
I have a moment of hate.
Okay.
The freezer is broken.
Again?
Again?
The freezer is broken. It has now... For those of you who don't know what I am talking about, which podcast is it?
It was a while back, but we'll have to go look and see if I can find it in the previous moments of FU.
Hopefully Basil will have found it and put a link to it in this below this podcast, where I previously, in a moment of FU...
But I think short story goes, this Kenmore freezer has died several times now.
Yes, this
Where
is
did
now...
you get it from?
Sears.
Sears.
Last time, when we called a complaint, they sent us a $15 gift card to get us to shut up. This time, the technician came in, looked at it, and said, well, I can see where the leak is now, and I cannot get to it. I cannot fix this freezer. So I'm going to go ahead and tell them that it's irreparable, and I'm just going to call it in, and you can get a new freezer. We were so thankful. We were so thankful. But then Sears apparently contacted this place and told him that no, they didn't think that he really meant it when he said it was not repairable. And that he was now going to have to change out the coolant in it. Because, he's going to have to change out the coolant in it. And just see if that'll fix it. Even though we know it won't. Before they'll replace it. So, we now have a broken freezer that is going to continue to break, keeping nothing but a cup of ice in it until it breaks down. Then we call Sears again to have them fix it, because it has to break down 4 times before they'll replace it.
You know, I get it that Sears is in financial straits.
In fact, this might be why they're in financial straits. If they would just when this thing just broke the first time, they would have just said, oh, this is too fast for a freezer to break. Here, take another one. we would have been straight. We would have talked about the great service we got from Sears. We would have referred people. Instead, this is now my second podcast telling everybody I possibly can about how terrible their service is.
See, I just remember when Sears used to be good.
Yeah.
I used to remember when Sears was really good.
They were.
Found out that the person we know that works for Sears, who is actually the only reason we got the guy to come out when it broke down this time as quickly as we did, is because we were put on another long waiting list. So he called, and he got it moved up for us. You know, being a store manager in a different state, you know, I guess has some leeway. But apparently, at one point in time, he's now gotten enraged with the corporate because the corporate didn't pay the company's health insurance. The employees still paid the health insurance. They all still paid in for it for like a month or 2 months before they got notice that, oh, by the way, your health insurance has been canceled because the employer just didn't pay it.
Ooh. Wow. I hope this thing breaks soon enough so that Sears doesn't collapse in on itself before they have a chance to replace the freezer.
They need to get new corporate management, because whoever's running the company isn't thinking.
Now that really sounds like the corporation itself is.
The corporation is going under.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's been long since established.
Well, yeah, but like...
Them and Kmart, you know, they're one group and they've been slowly...
They're fighting it tooth and nail, but they're slowly going under.
And I am sure that this is one of those cases where they're like, well, if we do this to hang on every dime as tightly as possible, maybe we'll pull through, and it's obviously they're not pulling through.
No, when you sell appliances like this, when you sell a freezer, you can't just, you know, when you're selling an appliance like this that you're expecting to work for 10 to 20 years, and it breaks in the same year that you bought it, you can't afford as a company to have your reputation tarnish so badly that when that happens to that person, you just go, oh, tough luck on you. Because then they never shop with you ever again, and you're selling pretty big ticket items.
Yes. The harder you tighten your grip, the more consumers slip through your fingers.
It's like if you're running a hotel. When you're running a hotel and you fall on hard straits, the last thing you do is fire the cleaning staff because you desperately need to keep a clean hotel.
Yes.
But one of the things you do when you do fall into dire straits, perhaps even if you were homeless, if you find a baby and you're written by Satoshi Kon, and then things might turn out alright, because our topic of tonight's OSMcast is Tokyo Godfathers. So, once upon a time, there was a man with vision, Satoshi Kon, who passed away a few years ago, I believe due to pancreatic cancer. It was some sort of cancer. It was an asshole cancer.
The world is a sadder place without him.
It's really funny, and we're talking about Tokyo Godfathers, and I really highly recommend getting the DVD. It's really cheap. It's really easy to get off Amazon. But I definitely recommend, after watching the movie, watching the special features. There's a making of. And what's the most important part of possibly the making of is this conversation that Satoshi Kon has with this other, like, broadcaster guy. Mm-hmm. And the guy is constantly telling him just how unmarketable his movie is. And Satoshi constantly just not caring. Like, he keeps going, oh, yeah. That movie's kind of awesome, isn't it? Like, you know, he's obviously very happy with this thing that he's produced. He is totally happy with what he's created. And it's not something normal, but it is something amazing. And just how could you make a movie about middle-aged homeless people? Couldn't you have used, like, attractive homeless people? Isn't that more marketable? And Satoshi Kon's like, nope. Not what I was going for.
Yeah.
Kind of like the difference between the Akihabara Deep TV series and the Akihabara Deep movie. where the movie had obvious Hollywood not Hollywood, but obviously like Japanese mainstream actors who are way too pretty for their parts. Mm-hmm. Whereas the TV show had people who really genuinely looked like otaku nerds.
Yeah.
And it was way more charming for it.
Yes.
And so it just, the dude, I think more so than any other director around, even now, was always willing to do something different. He was really to break any molds he had to get through in order to capture his vision. Because he felt that anime could be more than what it is. And I really feel this is, even for this, his most quote-unquote normal of movies, right. It is still so wonderfully surreal. It even still stands on its own as its own really just abnormal take on a normal idea.
Yeah, like, you talk about how it's not very normal, but at the same time, I think you may be misrepresenting it to people who haven't heard of it a little, because it does seem very, very normal. In fact, throughout the whole thing, it stays relatively normal. It's just not normal for anime. Like, there's a lot of elements in this where you watch it and you go, this could almost be a live-action movie. Why didn't they just make a live-action movie? But at the same time, it does still have several, like, slightly fantastic elements that make it overall, like, more heartwarming, I think, than anything. And it really just is, like, animation, like, there's a lot of love in this animation, and I think it really bursts through and shows.
Well, that's why I get using the word surreal.
Okay.
I feel that is one of the most defining words you can put to this movie, is that it is incredibly surreal. It is just realistic enough to fool you into doing things that you couldn't do normally in live action. The basic storyline is it's on a Christmas Eve, and you have these 3 homeless people, and they find a baby, and they have to find the baby's mom, and hilarity and amazement and
mystery, intrigue, excitement, action, adventure,
and a string of weird
sci-fi, not kids stuff, straight from Japan, totally unexpected. Happens. It actually is kind of, in so many cases, it's totally unexpected.
Yeah.
There's some times where you're like watching it, and then out of nowhere, in comes something that you're like, wait, what?
The characters talk about regularly about how the baby is, God must love this baby, the baby is lucky. And this is true. The baby is apparently watching this. The baby is apparently very lucky. It's just luck appears to swing both ways.
Certainly, as soon as they find the baby, all manner of weird coincidences and happenstances start happening around them.
Which is something the director actually did mention about this movie, was part of how he picked the actress to do one of the main 3, a 16-year-old runaway girl.
Named Miyuki.
Miyuki. He found Miyuki's voice actress by a series of coincidences kept happening, where he just kept noticing this one
saw her in a
actress.
movie, and he saw her on a cover of a magazine. And
yeah, so he just decided that many coincidences, he just had to put her in his movie.
Yeah, so you have your 3 main characters, besides the baby. You have your middle-aged alcoholic, Jen. Hana, a trans woman. Or a woman who's... Kevin, cover this, because I'll jumble up my words.
Well, it seems like Hana is very definitely a transsexual who identifies as a woman. But, Japan being Japan, it feels like they lack the words to convey this.
Even in the context of the movie, they refer to Hana constantly as Okama, which is...
It's basically cross-dresser, although it has gay connotations.
Well, Hana does talk about...
Yes.
Hana is referenced when Hana's backstory comes up. It's revealed that Hana had a boyfriend who has passed away.
It mentions being, a woman at heart more than once. And
mentions being a woman at heart. At one point in the movie, they talk about whether Hana has feelings for Gin or not. I don't think they ever cover whether Gin has feelings for Hana the other way, but
no, although
it's not important.
It's open for interpretation. They are real. The 3 of them are kind of a weird, dysfunctional family. Like and Hana is the mom in this weird, dysfunctional family.
Yeah, Gin's the
dad, and Miyuki's their weird little rebellious daughter. even though they're not at all related to each other in real life.
They all have completely separate backstories, which they do touch on everyone's backstory in the movie.
And in some ways, form or fashion, is usually resolved by the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. At least in little bits.
At least there's implication that there can be resolution for these characters.
Yes.
You don't necessarily see it in the film, but you feel like there may be... You actually do feel like there may be bright spots for all these characters at the end of the film.
Yeah, that if there's anything that this movie generates, it's hope and happy.
Yeah.
Like, this is definitely an incredible, I would say that this is just as good of a feel-good, warm, Christmassy movie as any other popular Christmassy, warm movie you can think of.
I was even saying that I thought that we should make watching this movie every year part of our Christmas tradition. The movie does start on Christmas Day, and then over the course of the movie, I think the final scene of the movie is happening on New Year's Day. But over the span of that brief period is when the events of the movie take place. I was even at one point counting out how many days it's been, what date are they on.
Yeah, because what this does, it does a really neat, it's a series of events. Like, they find this baby, and they decide to take this baby to find its mother and father, because obviously homeless people can't take care of a baby. So obviously homeless people have to go find the parents themselves, because you can't trust it to anybody else.
Yeah,
They do, at different points, debate going to the cops, but for one reason or another, it's always shut down.
Yeah, there's always one of them that's like, we should do the right thing and take the baby to the cops, and then the other two are always insisting that they not do this.
And it's followed by a series of both unfortunate and occasionally fortunate events.
Yeah, like they find the guy who on the side of the road, he's parked up on a hill, on a snowy hill. His car is about to roll over him, and
it turns out there are implications that lead to the next plot point, that things happen, and it reveals bits of a character's backstory. And then something completely out of the blue occurs, which then leads to more bits of a different character's backstory.
Foreshadowing for a plot point down the road. More bits of backstory.
Of course, they run to an inordinately odd number of people who somehow lead them to a new clue as to where this baby needs to go. As
I said, the baby's very, very lucky.
Or alternately complicates getting the baby to where she needs to go.
It's like the movie equivalent of one of those, I think was it a Rube Goldberg machine? Where, it's actually a whole bunch of, misjoined things that once you start the dominoes, in order.
As soon as they pick that baby up out of that garbage pile, it's like a little ball started rolling.
A little bit like Lucky Number 11, only with a baby instead of a diamond.
Right, and less death.
Yes, much less death.
Much less death. Including if somebody gets shot, there's surprisingly much less death.
But it is one of those things where suddenly, it hits this contraption which sets these events in motion, but the ball just keeps rolling. Next thing you know, this thing picks it up and puts it down, and by putting it down, this other thing gets activated and shows up later in the machine of the movie. And it's really...
They meet this person who takes them somewhere, and then they meet someone they hadn't seen in years, or they find some clue about the baby.
Lots of intertwined moving parts, I think, is what we're getting at.
And it's very cleverly done. The movie is astoundingly well animated.
It visually, I thought the art style was very similar to a Miyazaki movie, but that's probably because I don't know much of Satoshi Kon creator's works.
I mean, it's obviously very, very much taken. It's set in Tokyo, and it's obviously very much real locations in Tokyo that they scouted out and put into animation. But this is still. Well, actually, this is in the day when hand animating is falling out of favor. I mean, they're using the computer, but they're hand drawing it out.
Well, it was particularly how the eyes moved and how the lips moved is what made me say Miyazaki, not...
A little bit,
Not really the backgrounds, but the backgrounds are beautiful in their own right.
See, for me, it didn't... the reason I see it being Miyazaki-esque is that's just really well done.
That could be true. It could just be, this is quality work, so I instantly went to Miyazaki.
Because a lot of it really reminds me... Because a lot of it is... I felt there's a lot of overly exaggerated faces.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really cartoony faces at times that I don't really see as much out of a Miyazaki film.
Yeah, that's true. And particularly this one image of Hana they keep, like, posting everywhere. It's super cartoony, and
Yeah.
like, she only makes that face at one point in the movie, and they post it everywhere.
Well, there's also, I noticed several times, there's a scene where they have this, like, really growly, like, devil demon statue.
Yes.
And whenever Hana's talking, they're portraying Hana right beside the statue. Mm-hmm. And you realize that it's sort of, and Hana's angry in the scene, and so you really get this, comparison of, Hana and this demon creature.
Yeah. And
several times after that, they will show, sometimes they'll contort Hana's face to be that same shape.
Yes.
Constantly, saying that this, just reinforcing this whole demon aspect until they actually explain why they actually use this aspect. And it actually makes a lot of sense once you go back and you previously watch. Like, it's a really good... The guy was really smart in how he built this movie.
It's even better the second and third times around. There's also lots of little things going on in the background that you mentioned, that you pointed out to me, so I noticed it this time, was there's a scene where Gen gets into a fight with some kids. And in the background, you don't really notice it when you're just watching it and you're not looking for it, but it is, in fact, there. Is during the course of the fight, in the background, this building has this row of lights on, and as he is doing well or bad or poorly in the fight, the windows are coming off and on like a fighting game status bar. Like a fighting game health meter.
I did not catch that.
Like, yeah. It totally is. Like, it's like as he gets hurt, it goes down, and like you notice immediately. It's not him. It's a little bit of spoilers, but you see, the guy, his adversary trip, and those windows go down a little bit. Then they come right back up, and then as they beat down again, and as he gets hurt, like they come down and up.
Yeah.
Like, so it's actually sort of regenerating health.
Yeah.
And this is years before Gears of War came out. So I'm not saying that Satoshi Kon invented regenerating health in video games. Obviously, I think that was at the very least a Wolverine game from the NES like years and years previously. But it was, that was the part I didn't notice until I watched it this time, was I didn't realize that the lights coming back on. I noticed them going down, but I never noticed them coming back on. And so that is another case of you can really, this is much like another Madhouse film, Red Line, there is a whole lot of visual detail that, if you look for it, is totally there, and it's showing so much story that you may not be really is there at first blush.
Yeah, and we got Madhouse here, and they brought their A game. This is...
Well, they were, I believe they were Satoshi Kon's studio. I mean, I think he did everything through them.
Yeah.
And that was definitely, one of those things where it was definitely a labor of love. It had to have been. This is the same, studio that eventually broke off a second group, partially, hopefully, to finish off his last movie. That's when they sort of formed, the guy who formed Mappa. So, it wasn't even any really hatred for, Madhouse itself. Madhouse had gotten so big, they couldn't do the projects he really wanted to.
Yeah.
And so he formed his own studio, again, so he could pull these things off. But even now, they're actually working with, for example, the newest season of Hajime no Ippo is a Madhouse and Mappa production.
So there's obviously still pretty good relations there.
Yeah. But yeah, this is definitely a wondrously, And what amazed me is that there's a lot of scenes, even though they use computers, they're using computers to enhance 2D animation.
Yes.
There is a lot of scenes that, and a lot of anime, even anime movies nowadays, would have done it purely CG. They didn't. They used, parallax scrolling and things. Things to accentuate the 2D animation and not try to recreate things in 3D.
Yeah. And I think the movie was better for it. Like, the scenes were much more vivid in their coloring.
I get that it's the harder, more expensive way to do it.
But sometimes it's the harder, more expensive way because it's the right way.
Yes. It's definitely the way that... If you have a choice, you should do it that way.
And I think it's also a case of Satoshi Kon knowing what he wanted, knowing how he wanted to get it, and wasn't going to take no for an answer. Yeah. This was a guy who I really just think he gave no fucks. He gave none.
He gave fucks, but in only the right way.
Well, he gave the right. Okay, this is going to sound bad if we keep going with this, so we're going to stop. But suffice to say, he gave all the right fucks.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I wanted you to say.
There you go. But yeah, and just some things like I noticed whenever they showed the Tokyo Tower, it was always bright red and orange against like a blue background, which is a really good color palette, which is why you see it in so many movies and promotional posters. Like, if you ever go to a video game store and you look at every single Battlefield cover ever, it's a dark blue background of a soldier, and his gun is orange. Just because it's like a super popular, like Transformers, the Michael Bay movies use the same color imagery a lot, just because it's a really appealing set of colors.
Which, in another movie that we've talked about recently that did that as well is Pacific Rim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also did that.
And people use it because they're really appealing. But I noticed, again, watching the special features, they have Satoshi Kon talking with the actress for Miyuki, and in the background is a brightly lit Tokyo Tower that's all red and orange behind sort of a dark blue background of Tokyo. Mm-hmm. And realizes, oh, well, of course it's there because that's how it would look.
That's what it really looks like.
That's what it really looks like. Only it's done in animation, and so it looks really just nicely surreal, and it gives you this awesome backdrop to the anime. Also, Tokyo is covered in snow.
Yeah, it snows more in this anime than it typically snows around that time of year.
Yeah, in Tokyo.
Like, at one point, and they even address it in the anime. Like, at one point, like, the train has to stop down because of too much snowfall.
Admittedly, well, I don't know. Yeah, I like more actually. Strangely, with Tokusatsu, there's usually a Christmas episode, whether they like Power Rangers, Super Sentai, rather, and Kamen Rider will usually have a Christmas episode. Yeah. Whether or not they address it, whether or not that ties into the story varies. But it'll be set, or it'll have an episode where when it was shot around Christmas time, it'll be Christmas time, and it's usually not snowing.
Yeah.
So I think that's another case of, I think Satoshi Kon knew that he could do this in live action, but to really realize his artistic vision, I think animation was his best choice.
The snow is very much a part of the story, and the snow has a character almost.
It's a little bit like Chekhov's gun, where the snow is ever present, and at times it's important into the story, and at other times you almost forget about it, but it's always there.
Well, in its case, this is also called Tokyo Godfathers. The fact is, we do have these three godfathers, as it were, for this baby. Mm-hmm. But it does take place in Tokyo, and Tokyo is sort of its own character in of itself. Mm-hmm. And so, the people wandering around Tokyo, and everyone is also usually, even in the backgrounds, everyone looks usually pretty distinct.
Oh, and all the normal people are always leaning away from them, like holding their... covering their mouth and nose and telling them how they stink.
Make like a baby Jesus, three wise men analogy, but I would not give my English teacher the satisfaction.
Well, you could do that. I also noticed a Christmas Carol theme crop up within the context of the show, like within the context of the movie. The movie is not a replay of the Christmas Carol in any way, but I definitely saw elements of the Christmas Carol, especially at play with Gin.
Well, what you will notice that every character had sort of their own weird lucid dream moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you start noticing, like, they're not really getting visited by the spirits of Christmas past or anything. Well, but they all have the moment of... they have an equivalent moment.
Yeah. Everyone, you do get, like, a past moment, and then they have something that connects them to the people they knew in the present. Mm-hmm. Although it's really Gin who gets the moment where he kind of sees what his future could be.
Yeah. Like, Gin meets the old man, and he really sees...
Like, he gets
a Christmas future.
He sees what probably would be his ultimate fate if he keeps on how he is. Mm-hmm.
Yet eventually leads to his actual fate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But that's later on in spoilers, and I don't think we're quite there yet for spoilers. We're going to get into it, but we're not quite there yet. This is, I think the music is... it's got this jaunty, upbeat music that keeps coming up through. And...
Climb every mountain, forge every stream.
Yeah, I gotta like Hana for breaking into random Sound of Music moments just because.
But just the sound is there's this sort of, I don't call it quite big band, but it's very it's got a pretty roaring soundtrack to it where it sort of keeps you going.
It's nice and bustling.
It's bustling, and it will change its themes occasionally. Like, for example, I did notice that it sort of got a more Street Fighter-y tune to it when he was, had to deal with the kids. It is the whole thing sort of, which again, something I didn't really notice the couple times I watched this movie. I noticed it this time. That the music sort of changed in response to the scene. Well,
it not only changes in response to the scene, as most music does, but it does actually have just about all the music in it harkens back to more classical music. But it doesn't just harken back to classical music. It harkens back to as classical music has been adapted to different other genres of music, as music has evolved, and then it's an adaptation of that. So you've sort of got like an Inception level of music adaptation going on here, where it's an adaptation on top of an adaptation, on top of an adaptation, on top of the top still spinning. Yes.
But I feel that that's sort of it. I mean, this is a movie about layers, where every minute they're adding just another layer of the story, another layer to their circumstances. They're adding either foreshadowing, or they're showing results of the previous foreshadows. They're constantly they're setting things up, breaking them down, but it's always stacking. It's always constantly moving. It's always constantly going forward. Mm-hmm. It's that a ball in the machine. It just keeps rolling, no matter what happens, good or bad. But as the ball is rolling, it's getting more depth. Like, there's not a single wasted moment in this film. Everything is shot. I don't think you could cut anything further without actually losing something important to the film.
No, I don't think you can cut anything from this film.
I think it's along at a pretty good pace, and it's only 92 minutes.
So that's an hour and a half. That's about how long a movie really needs to be.
Yeah.
Well, depends on the movie, but it tells its story. I think it tells its story well, and it does it in a manner that moves along nicely.
Moves along in a good clip.
I feel it's a very tightly paced movie. Mm-hmm. It's slow when it needs to be slow, fast when it needs to be fast.
It never really feels like it's dragging.
It has one of the best slow, high-speed chases.
Yes.
That I've seen a movie have.
Homeless action squad.
A woman in high heels versus a drunk homeless man.
There's several times where, again, we'll say, I'm not an action star.
Oh, yes.
And then he gets put in an action star thing, but he's a homeless guy, so it's way more low-key than your average action scene.
I obviously see why he drinks a lot.
We're not homeless. We're not action heroes. He says this right after he's just vaulted a relatively high fence.
This is the guy who gets hit with vehicles and beaten up by children. It's like our children, angry teenagers who have nothing better to do than. But he goes through a lot of physical stuff in this movie.
And pretty much is an action hero. I think that's why he has to keep clarifying.
That's why he drinks so much, because it helps him survive all the impacts he takes in life.
Well, it is a hard knock life.
Yes.
For them. Yes. It's a hard knock life for them.
I hate Annie. I hate Annie so much. But anyways.
But I don't hate this film.
No, this film is great.
All right, any last moments before we move on to spoilers?
I still think we should cosplay these three.
This might happen.
This is a cosplay I feel that we can pull off.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can knit the pieces of their costumes that we don't just already have, except for where you would get a teal and orange jacket. I don't know.
That's going to be... Well, no, I think that's an undershirt. I think the jacket's green and orange.
That's what I said, teal and orange.
Need to shave and maybe it'll help with the lipstick makeup, but, I've always wanted to,
I'm going to have to buy you a stick of makeup. You're not using mine.
I will fulfill my secret desire of being a trans woman,
And if we ever do cosplay this, we'll definitely make a post.
Yes.
Probably on the OSMcast Twitter, Basil's Twitter, which you can find at It's Basil Time, the OSMcast Twitter at OSMcast, and Kevin's Twitter at Twitterless Kevin. So with that, I will say that you can find this on Amazon for like $8.
Yeah.
Potentially cheaper if you don't want to go through Amazon shipping. I saw it as cheap as like $2 to $3.
It is available on Netflix.
It's also available on Netflix.
Subtitled.
The DVDs, of course, are not high def. I have no clue. We watched the DVD. We didn't actually watch the stream, so I have no clue what quality the stream is in.
When I saw the stream, it was actually in better quality than your DVD.
Then you should have mentioned something. We would have watched it that way. Well, maybe we'll watch that next time.
Okay, fine.
Like, I'm willing to make that, because no matter how you watch it, it's good.
Yeah.
And you should definitely give it some of your time, especially during these holiday seasons. But with that, we'll take a small break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to spoil all the moments we enjoyed about this wonderful, wonderful film. We have returned back to the OSMcast, talking about Satoshi Kon's and Madhouse's Tokyo Godfathers, a tale of homeless people and babies, or baby, no, there's babies, in Tokyo, and now we are going to spoil it.
Spoilers.
The mother's not the mother! The mom's not the mom!
Did you just give the baby to a crazy woman?
Yes, they just gave the baby to a crazy woman.
All right.
Usually that's near the end of the film, but...
Well, this is the spoiler section, so I figured we'd spoil it. One of the crazy hijinks they ensues is that for a large part of the movie, they finally track down this one woman. They think that she is the mother, and they're tracking her down in order to give her the baby. It's very near the climax of the movie when it's finally revealed that that woman is not actually the mother. She's apparently just some woman who went crazy and stole this baby.
And all their clues were valid.
Yeah.
Like, all the clues were meant to lead her to this woman. It just turns out that she had the baby because she stole it, not because she had it.
Yes.
Which leads into the low-speed chase, and
yes. Hence why the lady in high heels was running away from the drunk homeless man.
The action climax of the film, such as it is.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I love the high-speed drunken homeless chase. Where eventually I'm like, haha, then I realize it does become a high-speed chase.
Yes.
It does become a high-speed chase. Like, she steals a car, he steals a bicycle.
No, she steals a moving truck type
yes.
thing.
Like a big truck, kind of, like with a trailer.
And he leaps from the bicycle onto the moving truck, and she slams the truck into, like, the side of a wall, only for him to cling on more.
It does, it starts out in, homeless action squad. It actually turns into an action sequence.
But I like a lot of the character building they did in this.
Yeah.
Because you always start off with, because what you first learn about these characters is never what you actually need to learn about these characters.
Yeah.
Gen is the first one who was just totally just lying about himself, but all his lies are based somewhat in reality.
There's an element of truth to everything he says. It's just not necessarily exactly what he's saying, and it might not be the element that you think it's.
It's the Jedi truth.
He says that he's a bicycle racer, and he dealt with broken dealings.
He owned a bicycle shop, and he got into debt.
And he got into debt by
from a certain point of
broken
view.
dealings by bad betting at the tracks.
Yeah.
The bicycle track. Well, it was implied it was a bicycle track.
It was a track of some kind.
I assumed it was horse betting.
Well, he said he was always at the tracks.
Right, which I assume usually means horse.
Probably horses or dogs. I don't know if Japan has dog racing. They definitely have horse racing.
But he definitely did have a bicycle shop.
Yes.
And then he said his mom, his wife and kid were dead. In fact, no, he just left them because he freaked out over what he did, and he was just running away from everything. As it turns out, Miyuki was also running away from everything. She was just an incredibly hormonal teenager who was, a bigger girl who was dealing with things, and suddenly...
She got mad at her dad for doing something with her cat, Angel.
Well, we don't even know if her dad actually did anything with Angel.
Yeah.
Angel might have actually, maybe he accidentally let her out and she ran away.
Yeah.
She just had a serious freak out moment.
But it was obviously that Angel was her security blanket. It was her her cushion against all things bad. She had her pet cat. And when she lost that, she had a moment of crazy and stabbed her dad. And so she ran away, arguably for a much more reasonable reason than Gin did. Although still not the best of reasons.
And then you have Hana, who... Hana never lies about her backstory. It's just...
No, she just keeps it, she doesn't reveal everything.
She doesn't talk much about it.
Yeah, like she mentions her mother vaguely at one point, and then when you finally meet her mother turns out to be another transvestite, so obviously not.
Right, but she still refers to her as mother.
Yes.
She considers her as mother.
Yes.
Because it turned out, I also love the fact that, so they first mentioned when does Hana like Gen, Hana goes, no, I actually like this type of male. And as she's explaining this type of male, it is very obviously the cab driver.
She's trying to just get out of, having to pay the full amount for the fare.
You say that, but then you go and you actually see the pictures of her deceased boyfriend. It's the exact same character description.
Oh, good point.
It's a very
Same visuals.
similar kind of guy.
Yeah.
Same build, same haircut. It was obviously... She wasn't lying.
Huh.
Hana worked at a club with other cross-dressers.
Yeah.
And, such things exist in Japan.
They do.
And it's probably after her boyfriend something happened to... I don't know if they said he died, but did they say he died?
They do. They even say how. It's implied that she left this place to go live with her boyfriend. Then the boyfriend died, and the owner of this bar, who Hannah refers to as mother, asks in very hushed tones, was it AIDS? And this is the first time in an anime where I've seen them ever address AIDS.
Japan rarely addresses AIDS or drugs directly. Or for that matter, the homeless. To
which Hannah just, goes, oh no, he just slipped on some soap. And thus, kind of touching on a brief point about how everybody is really just a moment away from... in the point of the conversation, they said from dying, everybody is one accident away, but kind of the more subtle undertone that I saw was that everybody really is only one major expense away from being like Hannah ended up being. Although the mother does also point out, but you should have come here first, pointing out that it's really by support systems and networks that we stay up.
Right. And this is also a movie of accidents.
Yeah.
A movie of anything can happen. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, there are several times where they just go, and something horribly wrecks. Right in front of you.
Yeah, an ambulance actually wrecked right into the convenience store that everybody was in if Gen and a drunk guy hadn't started to get into a fight and had moved outside.
Which is one of the most out of left field moments.
And the guy driving the ambulance then stumbles out of the ambulance and says, call an ambulance, before passing out himself.
It's just one of those great little moments. But yeah, and this is, again, it was one of the cases we just mentioned was packed with visual information. Where Doug did not realize the whole thing where, you're right, when Hannah was first talking about what she likes in males, she was expressly talking about the guy in the cab.
Yeah.
The driver, who eventually comes back and his poor cab gets destroyed in one of the high-speed chases.
He joins in the high-speed finale.
He is very accommodating in that final high-speed chase.
Because she eventually even then does go, and by the way, also a really, really nice cab guy who's not going to yell at me about my fare. So she is talking about that guy, but as it turns out, she was also talking about Ken, her deceased, boyfriend. So it is a
layers.
And then there's the whole thing where Gen meets this other old guy who's, further on a lush, who is literally just a step away from death's door.
Gen finds him laying face down in the snow, picks the guy over to check and see how he is, and the guy says, do me a favor, and then asks for alcohol.
And eventually hands him this bag. Mm-hmm. It says it's really important that no one else gets this bag. Mm-hmm. And he takes it, and in the movie, you realize it's the winning lotto ticket.
Yes.
So you know that as long as he uses it, he's going to be okay. You never see him use it.
But he's got to use it first. Like, they don't get to that in the movie. They just imply that it's there. There's a bright spot that could happen.
Right. And he didn't see the spot with the winning lotto numbers. So, you know.
So he's probably fine.
And that they're all ones is easy to remember.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is a chance where, you know, at the end...
And he might he's met back up with his daughter. He might be able to reconcile there.
Mm-hmm. Well, they seemed like they were having a reconciliation there.
You know, Hannah has her support network in place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the very end is Miyuki finally meeting her father, because she was the one that didn't actually meet her past.
Yeah.
Like, she has a glimpse of it in the subway.
There's another section where as they're searching through the burnt out husk of a building that's in a picture that was with the baby's stuff, she comes across a news magazine that has a message from her father that says, Angel came home.
Well, you know, there's a time where she also tries to call him and just can't do it.
Yeah.
Where it's only when she hangs up can she say sorry. And one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when the crazy lady is running up the stairs with the baby, and Miyuki is chasing after her. And as she's chasing after her, she's constantly shedding all the layers of clothes that she is, you know, to be able to keep up and keep speed and not overheat herself. And then you realize that as she peels off every layer of her homeless stuff, underneath everything else is her school outfit that she was wearing when she yelled and stabbed her dad. And so it's sort of this double thing where she's gaining speed, but she's also shedding everything. She's finally, you know, realizing that she finally has to man or lady up, however you want to refer to it, you know, people up to be able to face, you know, her past, face all her, you know, her anxieties, her, you know, insecurities, and, you know, try to save this baby.
Yes.
And that is just one of my favorite, like, you know, they don't say that's what's going on, but you see that's what's going on. And the fact that you actually get to see it, they actually show it.
Makes it that much more powerful.
Yeah.
Yes. But, yeah, it's a really good movie.
It is. And like I said, it feels like it's, you think at first blush this is a really normal movie until you really get into it. No normal movie would just have an ambulance wreck just for the express purpose of having an ambulance wreck.
Yeah. The most magical moment, I think, is at the very climax of the movie. It is when the woman is deciding to jump off the building with her baby. Or with the baby. Because it's now been revealed that it's not her baby, but...
Fortunately, Lady is still quite crazy.
Yes, so she's about to jump off a building with the baby. And they manage to catch her just in time, but then she drops the baby, and Hannah jumps off the building and catches the baby and manages to hold on to a sign, but then the sign breaks, and then Hannah's falling down, and you think it's going to end terribly when, just at that moment, an updraft just slides through the building and just catches on the falling flyer and is enough to hoist it back up into the air, thus allowing Hannah and the baby to gently float back down.
God really loves that baby.
It's the most fantastical moment of it all.
Well, it is. But yeah, there's the whole thing where you find the mafia or the Yakuza boss trapped underneath the cargoes, and he comes right in and goes, daughter's like, what are you doing? Also named Kyoko.
Yes.
You know, first, like, double Kyokos before we get triple Kyoko. And he's like, I almost died.
Almost died. Don't worry about it. He even mentions, I don't normally have my men with me when I...
Yeah. Well, and, you know, his soon-to-be son-in-law is this, you know, dirty dealing, like, you know, club owner who is the guy that Gin dealt with. When he was doing bettings and things.
Of money too, yeah.
And as you see, you think everything's going to hit the fan when Gin's coming up with this bottle of hooch, about to, you know, lay it over the son-in-law's, and as suddenly an assassin comes out of nowhere, you know, tries to shoot the mob boss. The mob boss uses the son-in-law as a shield.
The random Spanish-speaking assassin.
Well, no, the mob boss doesn't try to use the son-in-law as a shield. The son-in-law actually does jump out in front of him.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he does. And he does it because his attention was attracted to Gen pulling out the bottle to come cut him. that actually got his attention, not really onto Gen so much as onto the assassin, which caused him to jump out in front. So, yes, layers.
Who then runs off, grabs Miyuki and the baby, and then Miyuki has this amazing bonding moment with the assassin's wife.
And baby. Which, one of the reasons why this is not a movie to show young kids, although I think if you get them at a certain age, it probably wouldn't matter, but it does show some full-on boob. Like, it does show, like, several boobs.
Well, breastfeeding.
But yeah, but it's always in conjunction with breastfeeding. It's never just boobs for the sake of boobs. It's always boobs for the sake of feeding a baby.
Yeah.
So.
But sadly, that's enough to, like, make this go from, like, a PG to an R.
Which, there's nothing else in this to make this worth R.
It has no official rating, does it? Okay.
No.
I was wondering because, it was released by Sony Pictures, not any of your usual anime distribution studios, so...
Wait, it is rated PG-13.
Oh, is it?
PG-13.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then.
Yeah.
Obviously, the rating so high this is entirely suitable for everybody 13 and above.
Yes.
And if your kids are reasonably mature, I'd say this is a family movie. This is a real good family movie.
I think it more depends on just how, like, mom and dad or guardian feel about a kid seeing a baby breastfeed, because that's really the only real objectionable material, unless you just are upset by the subject matter of a transsexual man, or is it transsexual woman?
Well, trans woman, whatever you're identifying as.
Okay, so it would be
seeing Hannah.
Yeah, Hannah's awesome though. So
Hannah's awesome, so there should be no issues because you want to see Hannah be Hannah.
Hannah is awesome. Hannah's easily, hands down, my favorite character.
I do like the fact that they use the two scenes. You have the Spanish mother nursing both children, and then you juxtapose that with the crazy woman, Sachiko, trying to nurse feed the baby and utterly failing because she can't, because unfortunately her pregnancy did not go through.
Yes.
Which is what unhinged her. Because in the end, this is all about family.
And even she gets kind of a little hope spot with her
husband comes
boyfriend
back
wanting...
Because Gen yells at him saying, this is your family, you can't just...
So,
pretend like it's not your problem.
Honestly, with a little psychiatric therapy, which I would highly recommend, she might have a hope spot. She might actually come out of this fine.
Well, and in the end, this is a story about families and how they've run away from family, and they're all reconciling with family.
Yeah. And it seems like our three homeless people, it's their own hang-ups that are keeping them homeless. Mm-hmm. Like, they have which sadly, if that can only be always true in real life, but resolving their issues are taking them towards a happier place. Which,
in the end, that's sort of what you want in a holiday movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
The fact that it's just realizing that, the only thing holding you back is yourself, and a little bit of love, and a little bit of courage, you can pull through. And, dealing with a baby touched by God.
That baby is going to be the new Jesus or Buddha or the new Buddha Jesus. I don't know which. I don't know what combination. That baby is loved by some supernatural force.
The baby is very, very lucky. This happened to be for their benefit on several occasions. It also happened to be in their detriment on several occasions.
I would have loved to have seen an eventual sequel, of course, directed by Satoshi Kon, where the Kyoko, whatever the baby's name is, has grown up and is still dealing with this obnoxious luck.
Where things go extremely good and extremely bad on a regular basis.
And that eventually it turns out that she is a predecessor of the Dirty Pair.
Could happen.
So yeah, I think we're going to take another small break and we'll come back with our awesomes out of awesome. Okay, folks, this just in. Now, we said we're going to set up, at some point in this podcast, Twitterless Kevin. However, you can't use the word Twitterless. You can't use the word Twitter to make a Twitter name. So we couldn't do that. So we have the next best thing. It is Twitless Kevin. You can find him at Twitless, TWITLESS __ Kevin. KEVIN.
This Twitter is in no way affiliated with the actual Kevin, and the views expressed on this Twitter may or may not reflect the views actually held by Kevin.
No, this is totally everything Kevin is saying, verbatim, 100%.
This is totally not myself or Doug
Nope.
posting for him every time.
Quotes may or may not be taken in context.
Everything is in context, always.
Everything's true. 150% actually.
Yeah.
We're saying it right here. It's all real, all live, all true.
Which is 170% mathematically possible.
Nothing is true. Everything is permitted, which is why I'm letting them do this.
Because we already have.
Yeah, at this point at this point Kevin has already made 2 posts.
It's true. Tokyo Godfathers PSA #. Anyways, here it is. So, there you go. Back to your previously recorded OSMcast. And we're back.
Welcome back.
So now, finally, Awesome's out of Awesome. Spoilers are over. How much we really enjoyed this movie, and I enjoyed it a freaking lots.
Okay.
Out of Awesome?
No, I need to figure that out. All right, does anyone want to take the 3 homeless amazings out of Awesome? Or... that's obviously the easy one to go for.
No.
That, in fact, was the one I was going to go with. Now that you've said it, I have to go with my backup, which is 12 Nights of Awesome.
I think it was one abandoned house full of half-feral house cats of Awesome.
That was... that was a good other thing in spoiler. Well, anyways, you'll figure it out when you watch the movie. I'm going to give it 4 amazing car crashes out of Awesome. Was it 5?
Yeah.
There were several. Some are more in place and out of place than others, but they're all great and they're all awesome. And this is one movie you really need to see during the holidays. Out of Awesome.
Yes.
Indeed.
So once again, thank you all for listening to the OSMcast. We are the OSMcast. You can find us at awesomecast.com. Email us at awesomecast@gmail.com. Complaints at podcast@chainstopbuffet.com. Hurry up and update, guys. And Twitter at OSMcast. Facebook, OSMcast. Twitter Basil at It's Basil Time. And Twitter Kevin at Twitterless Kevin.
So, this is going to be a thing that has to exist.
In fact, before we finish this, we're going to sign up that Twitter account right now. But
That's right.
For everybody else, thank you very much. Listen to us. Rate us on iTunes. Go buy this movie. It's on Amazon. It's super cheap. Watch it on Netflix. Now we're out.
Wait a sec.
That's right. Shut up. This is not going in. We're playing the track as music. You already have... God damn it. This might be the end thing now.